Alright, today we're going to talk about zero exponents and negative exponents. Okay, there's only one real rule that you need to remember with zero exponents. Okay, so if you have any variable, just any variable, it could be a number, it could be a letter, it could be anything. So any variable or number that is raised to a power of 0 is always going to equal 1. This guy down here. Okay, so any variable or number raised to a power of 0 is always going to equal 1. Okay, so that's the only rule that you need to remember. Okay, let's try a few examples. Okay, so if we have 4m to the 0 power, okay, you're going to look at the variable. So we have m to the 0, which is what? Okay, anything to the 0 power is 1. So we have 4 times 1, and 4 times 1 is obviously 4. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Anything to the 0 power is 1, multiplied 4 times 1, which is 4. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. Let's move right over here. Okay, so we got p to the 0, and anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so p to the 0 power is 1. We bring over our 3 in our denominator. Okay, and we're done. So far we've found two very simple answers. One rule, anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so far we've only had different variables with to the 0 power. This time we're going to have a number to the 0 power. Okay, we need to remember that it's treated exactly the same. So we have x to the 5th times 6 to the 0. Okay, anything to the 0 power is 1. So we have x to the 5th times 1. And anything times 1 is itself. So we have x to the 5th. Okay, so those are three different examples. I'm going to go ahead and give you a few quiz questions. Look over these carefully. It'll help check your comprehension. Alright, now we're going to talk a little bit about negative exponents. Okay, the only rule you need to know for negative exponents is that we cannot have negative exponents in a reduced expression. We cannot have them. They have to be positive exponents. There's a simple way to go ahead and fix that. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and go through the examples. Okay, remember we can't have negative exponents. They have to be positive. The way we do that is if you have a positive or if you have a negative exponent in the numerator, you just have to flip it down to the denominator. Okay, so on this one we have h to the minus second, or minus 2. We need to flip that entire thing down into the denominator. Okay, so we're going to take it, instead of h to the negative second, we're going to have 1 over h to the second. So we basically just took the reciprocal and flipped it down at the bottom. Okay, so now it's positive. Whenever you flip it down to the bottom, or go from the bottom to the top, you're just going to change the exponent. So this, we had it h to the negative second, we flipped it to the bottom. So now we have a positive exponent. Okay, so let's take a look at our next example. We have 1 over a to the negative third. We can't have that negative 3, so what do we have to do? We have to flip it over, put the a on top, and we would have a to the third. Okay, simple as that. You could also write it as 1a to the third if you would like. Okay, whenever you flip it from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom, you just flip your exponent symbol and you'll be done. Okay, now this is the example that I really want to look at. Okay, now when you have a number in front of your variable, that number is not associated with the variable. Okay, so you cannot take it with you when you flip it down to the bottom here. Okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to leave it alone. So you got the 5 all alone. But we can't have that h to the minus 2, so we have to flip that to the bottom, and it'll look just like this. So remember, when you have a number in front of your variable, you do not take it with you when you're trying to get rid of your negative exponent. Okay, here are a few questions for you to practice with.